So today, really what I'm going to cover is how to use RefWorks for your citation management. RefWorks is a really great tool. Even if you're not using the library for your research, say you're using Google Scholar or the web in general, RefWorks has tools to pull that citation information from those areas so that you don't have to remember all the information or, having to remember, oh, I need to have this link here, these link there. And if you have everything in RefWorks, you can always get back to it. And RefWorks has a way that you can organize things. You've decided, yes, I'm going to use this source. You can put it in a particular folder. If you've got some sources you're still thinking about and you're not sure on, you can put that in a folder and you can just keep them all organized in one spot so you can easily get back to them as needed. Is anyone familiar with RefWorks?
I want to say I used it a year or so ago, a little bit, but if we've logged in before, will it know?
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and go into RefWorks. If you're going from the library's webpage, database tab, if you're great with spelling and remember how to spell everything, you can type it in here. I always forget a letter or two, so I just go to R.
Is it similar to some of the other programs that collect your documents and references to
Yes,
site?
it's very similar to like Zotero or EndNote in some cases, and I think the other one is Mandely.
Oh, I think I may have used EndNote. Now that you say that, I can't remember what it was.
No
Yeah,
problem.
I use Zotero and EndNote. Zotero seems to be more user-friendly for me. How user-friendly is RefWorks in comparison to the others that are out there?
Personally, I find RefWorks to be a lot more user-friendly than Zotero. Zotero has the whole it's free thing going for it. A lot of the features that Zotero has, RefWorks has. I feel that RefWorks is a little bit more organized than Zotero. But it's also, if it was not provided by the university, it would cost money. So that's the pros and cons there going. As you're affiliated with the university, you have access to RefWorks. I'm going to go ahead and open it. And I think I'm actually logged in already. No, I'm not. Yay. Okay. So this is what the login screen is. The first time that you log in, you'll need to create an account with your university email. Once you have that, you can log in using your institution information. And I know that the university has updated their name. Now we're now East Texas A&M. RefWorks has not updated that information yet, so we're still under Texas A&M Commerce.
Logging in, it would be our school email.
Yes. So you're going to use your university email. That way it registers that you are a part of university and does not try to get you to pay money. So this is a example that I have. I have a couple of different what are called projects. So I'm going to go to this top arrow here. When you first start it, it's going to be called Untitled. But projects work as like binders. So you can have a different project for a different course. You can have them for a different semester. You can have whatever the project you want, whatever binder you want. And you, of course, you can share the projects. You can set it as current. If you notice this one right here, this that I have, this says Title 3, that one I'm actually sharing with somebody. So I have several people working on that one binder at a time. Going back into the tutorial, but let's say you don't necessarily want to share the whole binder. Maybe you have the project set for a course or a semester, and you just have one folder in there that's for a that you want to share. Maybe you're doing a group project and you just want everyone to have one access to one folder. You can actually share just a folder by typing the email address of the person you're wanting to share it with. It does have to be someone affiliated with the college. And you can decide whether or not they can read, annotate, or modify any of it. So they can add or take away citations. Now, I think the most important part everyone knows, how do you get the citations in here? You can, of course, add them manually if you really want to. You have that option. So you got two options. either A, if you are doing a website or something from like Google Scholar or such, under tools, there's extensions and add-ons, and it's called install save to RefWorks. This little thing is a lifesaver. All you do is drag it up to this bar up here, which I now have two, so I'll have to remove one later. If you are out in the wilds of the internet and you can just click save to RefWorks, and it's going to pop up here, and it's now trying to add the RefWorks page to my RefWorks. You can go add any information you want to it, whatever information that is missing, or if you notice some things are off. RefWorks isn't very good on time, so if it's like a like the CDC or the government sites, if they post something or they have a web page, sometimes they'll have a time that's also on that.
Emily, I'm sorry. It's saying I'm not recognized, so I'm trying to create my account.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if anybody else is trying to do that, but it's saying it's down, or the system encountered an error. I've done it twice now.
Let me go back.
Maybe, I don't know. I am at school. I'm worried like maybe it's blocking it or something also, but it doesn't say that. It's different.
It shouldn't block it, even if you are on public school campuses, it should allow it. Are you using at leomail.tamuc.edu?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's really weird. Because I had a student work with it today. I'll have to look into it and see what's going on with our
Like I get the login page that you got.
mm-hmm.
I typed in my Leo email as an email address, and it said I forgot my password, and it says it doesn't recognize my email. So that tells me I probably have never created one before.
Correct.
But then I went down to the bottom, used login from my institution. I found A&M Commerce.
Go to the login page and click create an account.
Oh, don't use the login from my institution.
Yeah, don't use that part yet. Start with
That's
create an
probably-
account and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have to be in a certain browser to access this, or any browser should do?
Any browser should do. I would suggest Chrome or Firefox. Microsoft Edge should work, but I have had students have issues with it.
I was saying, one of the questions I have, it will pull the site. Will it pull the article? Are you able to drop the article, a PDF or something in there as well with the citation?
You have a couple of different choices. So it will pull the site. If it is a PDF that you're pulling, it'll ask if you want to try to pull the PDF, and it will do that as well. I don't think I have one that has a PDF on here. No, I don't. Okay, so I'll have to add that to it later. So for instance, let me go to Google Scholar real quick. Yeah, we'll go with this one. That is a book, but let's give it a go. Hopefully it'll work the way I want it to. Okay. Nope, that's because ProQuest. Okay, so it's not going to do what I want it to here, but with ProQuest, I can go to where it says site up here, and it has a button with RefWorks. So if you're in a database, you can pull the information, and I now have that article imported. I can go back and look at it, but what I want to find is one that's just straight up PDF so that I don't have to.
I'm sorry. Okay. I got logged in. Thank you. I'm now an official RefWorks person. I see my name up there. We were mentioning the other ones. So I'm pretty sure I have stuff in EndNote. Can we migrate what we have in EndNote over to RefWorks or something like that?
I understand. You should be able to. You would have to export the data, your EndNote data, into a file, and then you'll come up here to upload documents.
Okay.
Sorry, not upload documents, import references.
Import references.
Okay, so yeah, you should be able to just upload that file here or import that file here, and it should work fine. There may be a couple of things, anytime you pull information in, you always want to verify that all the information came in correctly, that it is what it should be, because there's been a couple of times where the information on the back end says one thing, but what's being displayed is a whole nother thing. So you always want to make sure that the information you pull in is what you were expecting it to pull in. And when I said the Save to RefWorks button, so see how I just clicked that Save to RefWorks. We've found a link to the full text. So it's going to actually try to pull in this full text here so that when I'm in RefWorks, I can actually annotate this text. I can go through, verify information is correct. And then I can hit Save to RefWorks. I don't want to put it in a folder right now. And away it goes. I can continue my research. This Save to RefWorks button also works if you're wanting to save like the entire page of a list of references. Let me go back to the Google. There we go. So if you want to do multiple at a time, I can go through here and click whichever ones that we're wanting. And it'll tell me which ones have a PDF available.
And those are all the ones
That's all the ones on this page.
on this page. Okay.
Yep.
So if there's, if you like the first one, the fifth one, and the eighth one, then you would just find them over here, click them, and it would just be those. Yeah, got you. Or all of them, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and then whichever folder you want to put them in, search for full text, import. 2 of them did not have full text. So the ones I chose did not have full text. Close this over. And then I can come here, I can look at, so I'm in RefWorks. I would always suggest if you are searching the web and or Google Scholar to have RefWorks open, just so that you can come in here and look at the last import. And you can see the different files that are all pulled up. So you'll have the little ones like this one says that there is a file that's attached to it. I can pull it up and read it right here in RefWorks, add comments, citations, annotate it as needed.
So tell me, like right at the beginning, what's the first thing we should do? Like, should we, like I have untitled projects up where you says tutorial, mine says untitled project. So this project that I'm probably working on is my dissertation. So I should probably call this dissertation, right? Is that a suggestion or?
That would be a suggestion if this is going to be like the major project and that's how you want to use it.
Yeah.
Projects can act like binders. So label this dissertation, and then when you go in,
so that little drop down box could be, another class that I'm just working on a paper on or something, or
yeah, so you can have multiple projects, dissertation, a particular class. Maybe you have one for this class, you have one for your dissertation and then one for quantitative research methods.
Got you.
Keeping them separate so you don't have that confusion. I know individuals who they just want one per semester, and that's just how their brain works, is everything is categorized by the semester. So once they go in there and they have one per semester, they will then create a folder per class that they have.
Got you. So mine's blank, it's brand new, and it says untitled project. How I'm hitting the little drop down box, but I don't see where I can rename this.
If you click on manage projects, I have multiple here, but you should have just one.
Yep.
You click on the word action and you have rename.
Perfect.
You'll have the option to share. If you're already sharing the project like I am for this Title III Research Collective, you can go to share settings and you can add more people, or you can take people away.
All right.
be warned when you're sharing a folder or you're sharing a project that other people can delete things if you have it where they can edit it. But if you have it marked, let's say you have it marked as your current. So let's say I shared this tutorial with 5 other people, but I have it marked as current. That means no one can delete it because I'm using it as active. But if I was wanting to delete it because maybe I'm not using it, but one of the other individuals tries to, is currently using it as their current, I won't be able to delete it either. So as long as someone is using it as a current project, no one can delete the actual project itself.
And you have multiple projects in current that you're sharing.
You can have multiple projects sharing at any time. Let me go back to my projects here. Okay, so you can have multiple projects. You can be sharing them. You're only going to have one labeled as current. This just means this is the one you've been in the last time. So whenever you log in, that's going to be the first project that's going to pop up again. It also means that if you're using the Save to RefWorks feature, or if you are in a database that has that export to RefWorks option, it's going to default to whichever one you have as current. But you can change it up when you're in there. So it's telling me I've already done this previously. So you can see that has my default is tutorial because that's the one I have labeled as current. But I can change it to any of them.
So if I have one project called dissertation, and then under the project, within that project, I have different others that I share, will it be the dissertation, the overall larger thing that will be current and not be able to delete, or would it be everything under that, or just?
So just to verify I'm getting it right. So you're wanting to say that if you were, say you have a current project and you're only sharing a folder?
Yeah.
Okay, so they will only have access to that folder. So if I went to this one and let's say I actually had things here, I can click the share, I can share the folder. And then I can tell it where they can read, annotate, or modify any of the citations in here. So they would only have access to the citations that are in this folder. That's it. They won't have access to the project overall. They won't have access to any other folders, just this one.
But they can't delete unless I give them privilege.
Yeah, so unless you say they can modify the citations, they won't be able to modify those any of the citations or delete any of the citations from here. They won't be able to delete the folder regardless of whether or not they can modify, edit, anything like that. They won't be able to delete the folder.
Okay. So it's best to have folders under a project that you share.
That's what I would suggest, unless you really trust the person you're working with and you're sharing this information with. I would have it set to where you have the project and only you have control of the project, and then share the folders as needed. You can have duplicates of items. So if you were, I'm going to go back to all references. So if you notice this little blue, folder icon, that tells me what folder it's in. But if I were to have, so I have this twice actually, or is it a different person? It's a different person. Okay. So let's say that I have shared this folder one with some people, but I am concerned that some things may get deleted or modified that I did not agree with. You can always have duplicates that are not in a folder. So if I were to go back here, I'm going to import this again so that I have it a second time so that we can see. And then this one I'm going to put in this folder. Okay, awesome. All references of my folders. Okay, so if I go to duplicates and we're going to find duplicates. so I have this one here and I have it here. So one's in a folder, one's not in a folder. And let's say I shared this folder with someone else, they could go in, they could modify it. They would be able to modify the one that's in the folder, but I would still have access to the original, which is the one I did not put in the folder. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay. Did that answer your question?
it did. Second question to that, based on that information, are you able to duplicate a folder or project? Now you can have multiples, but can you?
You
I
can
have,
copy folder. I'm
yeah.
wanting to say you can copy projects. I know you can copy the folders, and that will copy everything in the folder. But you can't copy projects. Okay. So you can't copy the projects, but you can copy everything in the folder. So if you have these folders here, you can sit here and you can copy them to another project or copy them to the same project. Copy it anyways.
Okay.
So if you wanted to move all your citations and have another project that's just you collecting all the citations. So now I have two folders exactly the same. They have the same citation in them. I can move them to another one. Whatever I need. You have that mobility.
And can you go back to at the very beginning? We opened it up and we want to start finding something.
Yes.
Like,
okay, so if you have no citations here, you want to start, you got a couple of different options. If you already know what folders you need, you can go ahead and create those. I am not that organized, so I usually create folders on this on the fly. There we go. I create folders on the fly. If you have citations you already want to put in here, you can put them in manually, import them references. I would suggest making sure that the first thing you do is have that go to tools, extensions, and add-ons, and make sure you have installed RefWorks little browser extension. That is going to save you so much time. If you are working on a work computer and you don't have the option to have those extensions, the other option with that one is just to make sure that you're working in databases that have the save to RefWorks option. Otherwise, you'll be doing it manually. And I can show you what those looked like. I'm going to go ahead and
hold on, I'm trying to get this saved to RefWorks into my, yeah, that part.
that part.
So
okay. You do have to make
drag
sure
button
that
to the
your favorites bar is down.
It is, but I have so many, like, I don't know where it's going. Okay, I see it. Save the RefWorks. Okay. I'll put it up here. Awesome. All right, I have it up there. Gotcha.
Okay, awesome. And if you don't have it here, you know, it may end up being in your.
Yeah, and the drop where the rest of them drop down.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, so you got that.
So say you're something at your job and you're working on one of their computers, so you don't have the ability to have that extension and putting that extension on. My suggestion would be make sure you're using databases that either they have a RefWorks citation export, which I can show you that button again here in just shortly, or they have the ability to export the citation into what is called a RIS file. And then once you have that RIS file, you can come in to add, you can import that reference here. So either A, you need to be able to export the citation via a RIS file, or it has a database that already has it. And that's if you're working on a computer that you cannot have the browser extension or you're unable to install that browser extension. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, awesome.
I think I'm trying to remember, but like in Google Scholar, there's some options to export to certain things, right? Like different programs.
Let me look at Google Scholar, because Google Scholar is not the thing that I am like the
See down there in the bottom, the blues, it save site related articles. I thought some of them, maybe not. I thought it said I thought I remember it saying like
We
export
do
to.
have site here, and it does
There it
have
is. There it
RefWorks
is.
there.
See, there you go. There it is. That's what it was. You can pick the APA 7th and then cite it, and I think it'll. So I think that's how I did EndNote. I
Oh,
think.
okay, so I
Yeah.
learned something new.
Yeah.
Google Scholar does have the ability to export a single citation via RefWorks and not having to use the save to RefWorks. I don't know if it would save the PDF file though.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Let's find out.
I know I was doing that on EndNote,
It's
which is
not
another
acting
one.
like it's wanting to, we'll go ahead and make it search for full text. And it didn't find it.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe it does, maybe you have to actually have the file open, in which case you would have to use the save to RefWorks button for it to actually find. Okay.
Do you know when we go to our library database and we find stuff in there, are there RefWorks options to export from there?
Yes. So
Okay.
let's say I am going to exit that and take my same search terms. Let's say I don't remember if these were good terms or not in this system. I'm about to find out. Nope. Okay. Nothing useful, but it's going to give me something. Okay, so let's say, for instance, that this article here is one that we're wanting to save. Either A, we're wanting to save it so we can read it later, or we think it's useful. We do have the RefWorks button right here. If you're someone who prefers EndNote button's here too. My
Okay.
only issue with EndNote is unless you have bought the desktop version, the online version you're going to get is going to be out of date for most citations because it has not updated since 2012. The free version. The free version has not updated since 2012.
Do you know, like, is there a guideline for East Texas that everybody should be using RefWorks, or because I know another professor put me on EndNote. I just don't remember who it was, or it's kind of just their preference, or
it's more of a preference. No one has a the university supplies RefWorks, so that is part of your tuition here.
right.
And as long as you're affiliated, you can use it. EndNote has that free option, so a lot of professors will use it, or they're more familiar with it and it's something they like, so they have the desktop version. But unless you have the desktop version, you don't have the latest web version, if that makes any sense.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so and EndNote, the free version only has up to APA 6. It does not have APA 7. So that's my biggest concern with EndNote. I don't know about the other citation formats with EndNote because those don't usually come up in the fields that I cover. But we do have this option. If you are in the database itself, I don't remember if Elsevier has it. Yes, Elsevier does. So you can go to site and then saves to RefWorks and you'll get the same. You'll get the same lovely option that we have seen several times now.
Do you typically want to do that search for full text, or
It depends.
what is that?
If you like to annotate digitally, that is a good option to have. I personally prefer to make my notes in pencil and paper just so I can have some physical connection with them. But if you prefer to do that digital notating actually on the document itself, then searching for full text isn't bad. Now, it also allows you, if you search for full text, you'll be able to read the item actually in RefWorks itself. But
yeah.
let's say you don't have that, it doesn't have the full text, but you can click on
Find it in the library.
either find it in the library, which is what this one's trying to do. It's going to take me back to this lovely thing. And if you're at the library, you can just click in. Otherwise, it's going to ask you to sign in to get access to all the different services. Where's the one that we had? This one. Okay, so I can read it through here, or I can come through and it gives me a URL to go to it. And I can get right back to it. So let's say I didn't download the PDF file. Well, I have immediate access right back to it because I have the URL. And it keeps it all in one spot. And it tells me, the pages has all that information for me. So you're able to retrieve any of the things that you pull into RefWorks. If you get all the information, you should be given a link to be able to get back to that information. Any questions about returning to an article that you already have put into RefWorks? One of the neat things I love about RefWorks, and the reason why I prefer it over a lot of the other tools, is this creative bibliography. I am a bit of a control person, so I always go to QuickSite, but you can go to just create bibliography and have just that works cited page. But if you go to QuickSite, you can choose whichever style you prefer. I usually use APA Basics. There are over 7,000 different styles because you can come in and kind of edit the styles to be more to what your professor wants. If you have a professor that has a particular requirement, maybe they like the title casings for APA, you can go and make sure it has that. But I just use it as the basics thing. I really love this in-text citation. It's very easy to use. I can just click on which ones I want, pull it right in, no problem. And then the bibliography will only have the ones I just clicked. I would need to go in and change that because I know that is incorrect. But you have, the bibliography, you can copy to clipboard and be done with it as you go. If you need to, for any reason, to edit any of these, maybe you noticed the URL wasn't typed right, or maybe you noticed, hey, the author's name got misspelled for some reason, you can click on them, come up here to this little pencil, and you can go in and edit the information as you need. Or you can create a duplicate of it. RefWorks also works with Word and works with Google. So if you're working on a document, you can have it cite as you are writing. It does have that capability. Google has a add-on. Sorry, Google's it's an extension. Microsoft, it's an add-on. Extension. So yeah, so Google, it's an extension. If you just type in RefWorks in the extensions, and it's right there, easy for you. As long as you have Word 2016 or older, or sorry, newer, you will be able to work with that as well. And I'm more than happy to show you what that looks like. There we go. With Google, if it'll pop up here in just a minute. It'll ask you to log in. If you aren't already logged in, you can select them, change your citation formats. You can also have the bibliography there or turn it off so that it will only show up when you are done with it. And all kinds of other new things that it's trying. I know there is a AI content checker. It's being piloted. I would be hesitant with that. Just because those are still in the works, they're not necessarily the most reliable. All right, any questions? You're more than welcome to send me an email or call my office number if you have any other questions about RefWorks, about citations. I'm more than happy to help you on that. We do have a webinar coming up on the following Tuesday where we're going to talk about literature reviews, how to find them, how to create them, the steps and processes to complete them, and answer questions in there. And then the following Tuesday, we will talk about citation APA format in particular.